Over to you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Ben. Perfect. So I am Councillor George Madgwick of the Paulsgrove Ward. What we're going to do first is we're just going to go around the table and do introductions, if that's okay. So starting on my left.
Good morning, everyone. Councillor Benedict Swan from Copmanor and Anchorage Park Ward.
Good morning, everybody. My name's Ben Attrell. I'm a solicitor employed by the council, and I'll be advising the subcommittee, the three councillors, whilst they make their decision today.
Good morning, everyone. Derek Stone. I'm the Principal Licensing Officer.
Good morning. My name is Dandapani Murugan. I'm on behalf of Madan Lal.
Good morning. My name is Christopher Eldred. I'm a resident of the coastal restaurant.
I'm Alison Harper. I'm from Democratic Services. I will take the minutes.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Councillor Stuart Brown, representing Fram Ward.
Perfect. And first we'll do declarations of interest. Do any members here have any interests to declare? I've got one personal interest in the fact that one of the people that's wrote an objection is someone that's a member of our local party and stood for us in the local election, but I've checked with legal advice and it's a personal interest, not a prejudicial one, so I'm okay to sit on the panel. So we'll go to housekeeping. If the continuous fire alarm sounds, please evacuate the room and the public gallery by the stairwells. Do not attempt to use the lifts. Please assemble at the Queen Victoria statue in front of the civic offices. In order to comply with Guildhall Trust fire marshal regulations, anyone who's signed in at the Guildhall reception desk should sign out when leaving the building at the end of today's meeting. Please can everyone use the microphones, remember to switch them off after they have finished. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the licensing manager to present the case. Over to you, Derek.
Thank you and good morning, members. So, members, this hearing is for a premises licence application for Restaurant 27 at 27A South Parade, Southsea. The applicant, Mandalao, is unfortunately unable to be present for today's hearing as he's away visiting his family in India, but he is available should that be necessary on the phone. However, he has requested that his friend, Mr. Tandabani Morgani, acts on his behalf today. This applicant is opening an independent pizza restaurant with a maximum of 50 covers at 27A South Parade, which has been a licensed premises for nearly 50 years. It was formerly Murray's and more recently Restaurant 27, which closed in August 2023. The premises licence for Restaurant 27 permitted the sale of alcohol plus late night refreshment until 0100 hours daily, with the premises closing at 01:30. The applicant's original application was for opening from 11 till 1 in the morning, with the additional late night refreshment until this time. Following submission of the application, the licensing authority started to receive objections from local residents. The applicant was advised regarding those objections, and immediately he changed his hours and applied for, which are now from 11 in the morning until 2300 hours daily. So therefore there's no requirement for late night refreshment. Members, I'm not sure where or why residents have got the impression that as part of the application, the applicant was going to have external seating. This is not the case, and I've personally visited the restaurant and spoken at length to the applicant. There will be no external seating, and as I stated in my report, this has never been part of the application. As you will be aware, our department issue all pavement and amenity licences, and if you look at Appendix E, which are the photographs of the outside of the building, the pavements are not wide enough to even consider such an application. Appendix A is the application, and a plan is attached to Appendix B in your bundle. The applicant is an experienced operator with over 24 years retail experience and over 18 years experience operating licensed premises, of which he is the designated premises supervisor for 2 locally. One of those is licensed by Paul City Council. As I've already stated, all seating will be internal, and alcohol will only be served to persons dining with a meal or as part of a takeaway food order. Deliveries will be managed to ensure compliance with proof of age as per age-restricted products, and will be undertaken by established delivery companies such as Deliveroo, Just Eat or Uber Eat operatives, who will comply with their own rules and protocols with regard to proof of age for alcohol sales. Clear notices will be displayed at the premises with regard to customers leaving, request them to leave quietly and respect the local residents, and for your information, the upstairs flat is occupied by a staff member of the applicant. The provisions relating to the grant of a premises licence are contained within Part 3 of the Licensing Act 2003 and associated statutory regulations. Public notice has been given by way of a press notice, a premises notice, and obviously local ward councillors were notified of the application. Therefore, there are no grounds for the committee to reject the application for non-compliance with the prescribed advertising requirements. There are no objections from any responsible authorities, and the applicant has agreed a number of conditions with the police. Relevant representations were received from 19 local residents initially, which I will summarise. Some were objecting to the hours of trading, some were objecting to the fact that the premises was applying to operate for 7 days. There were objections with regard to the off-sales, general noise concerns, and the potential for antisocial behaviour. 5 people withdrew their objections once made aware of the reduction in the original hours. However, 14 residents have continued with their objections for a variety of reasons, in the main the fact that these premises are located in a residential area. Copies of the redacted representations received are attached to Appendix C. Excuse me. At Appendix D, members, is a copy of a flyer that was posted through local residents' letterboxes. And you'll know when determining this application, you must have regard to the promotion of the licensing objectives, which are the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, the prevention of public nuisance, and the protection of children from harm. The Licensing Act 2003, the adopted statement of licensing policy, judgments of the High Court, which your legal advisor can guide you on should that become necessary, the current statutory guidance issued by the Home Secretary in accordance with Section 182 of the Act, the representations including supporting information presented by all parties, and the human rights of all parties concerned to ensure both a fair and balanced hearing and to consider any public sector equality duty. Members, I don't think I need to address you any further apart from to remind you about the review provisions contained in Chapter 11 of the statutory guidance issued by the Home Secretary in accordance with Section 182 of the Act. This sets out the proceedings for reviewing premises licences where problems associated with licensing objectives occur after the grant of a premises licence. Paragraph 11.2 states, at any stage following the grant of a premises licence, a responsible authority or any other person may ask the licensing authority to review the licence because of a matter arising at the premises in connection with any of the 4 licensing objectives. Thank you, members.
Thank you. First of all, what we do now is we can ask questions of the licensing team. So this is basically any questions that you have that are relevant to the licence application itself, not in relation to anything else. So first of all, we'll go to members. Any questions? Councillor Brown?
Thanks. That's better. Thanks, Chair. Rocky, just a couple of quick questions. So you mentioned that several conditions have been agreed with the police. Do we have any details on that, please?
Yes, I have the printout here for the police with the conditions, and it's what you'd expect in all licence conditions around CCTV at the premises to cover the bar area, entry and exit points, challenge 25, refusal logs, etc. In relation to children in the venue, they've had correspondence, be catering for families, all children need to be accompanied by a responsible adult. So these will form the basis of the conditions for the licence. It says you've informed us you will not allow people into the venue purely to purchase alcohol, and any alcohol will be purchased with a meal. So you're not going to have people just wandering in off the streets to buy a bottle of beer. It won't happen. That's going to be a condition on the licence.
And then, just to confirm, from a licensing perspective, the requirement for the off-licence is to support the sale of alcohol for the home delivery.
The only off-sale of alcohol will be with a meal, which is being delivered to whoever's made that order and placed that order.
And that's through the apps, the Just Eats.
Yes,
yeah,
correct.
Super. Thank you.
Councillor Swan, any questions? No, I've just got one. Could you explain the reason why they didn't just transfer the licence over? Because my understanding is that there was a licence active for almost 50 years, which would have permitted sales until 1 a.m. 7 days a week, and couldn't have been objected and challenged. So, have we got any reason why they didn't just transfer the lease over to avoid all of this, or why they've gone for a brand new application?
I don't, other than to say that the previous licence holder, the business finished in August of 2003. I think they just got tired working, operating, and yeah, they surrendered the licence. But it's absolutely correct. Had it been a live licence, it could have just been transferred over. But there was a long period between August of last year and when Mandalao actually purchased the premises and has decided to operate.
And from the previous licence holders, have we ever had a review over the last 50 years at all, or any notable issues?
No, not that I'm aware of at all, no.
No worries. Now, it's your chance as the applicant to ask any questions directly of the licensing manager, so it must be in relation to the licensing if you've got any questions for the licensing manager at all.
Me?
If you have any, yeah, you don't have to.
No, that's fine.
No worries. And yourself, sir, if you've got any questions of the licensing manager at all?
No questions, no.
Wonderful. So we'll move on from the licensing manager. We now go to the applicant, which is yourself, sir, if you'd like to talk on behalf of the applicant. This is just basically the ability for you to put forward kind of your views as a restaurant owner, holder, why you want to do it, you know, how you're going to meet the 4 licensing objectives and things like that. So just basically present your case. Okay.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for the time. I would like to apologize on behalf of Madan Lal because he was sincerely trying to come, but I think because of the holidays have been pre-planned, he could not change his ticket. So extremely sorry, and then let us continue. Madan Lal has been in the retail industry for the last 18 years, and then he's been a license holder for more than 15 years, and he's been operating 2 businesses, a permit license in inside around this area, and 1 in Portsmouth as well. I never had any issues, and then he's been trying this new venture in the restaurants, and then he would like to apply because he want to cover on the lunchtime also, so he was applying license from 11 a.m. And then he's okay up to 11 p.m. because I think that will be sufficient time for them to do the business. And then the next thing is he's been, about the parking issues, because there is like a lot of public parkings nearby on the South Parade Road, which is like 2 to 3 minutes walkable. So we can advise the customers. And this restaurant is there for more than 50 years. And then there's been never problem with the owners, which was been given. And again, on the taxi issues, taxis don't wait for more than 1 or 2 minutes because usually they want to be in and out as quick as possible because they don't want to waste time where they make the money. And we never had any official experts rejecting the case. And then we have agreed with police with a lot of issues like CCTV monitoring, as my colleague was saying, not my colleague, the council was saying. And then we are going to implement all the, refusal log and challenge log, which has been implemented by the police. And then all the various posters, which is going to be displayed in the store. Challenge under 25, and we'll make sure the child is never entering the premises alone unless otherwise supervised by an adult. And it's an offense for under 18 purpose or attempt to purchase an alcohol. We'll use it a log, and we'll make sure the customers are living as quiet as possible, not making any disturbance to the local publics. And we will try to use a no smoking policy around the restaurant. And these are the notices. And it's going to be a CCTV surveillance throughout, outside also. And we have a copy of this document for all the residents. All the objections, we can hand it over.
Sure, by all means, you're more than welcome to hand it through the solicitor if you're okay, just so you can check it to make sure we're allowed to accept it. Thank you.
In essence, I think it covers everything that's been mentioned in any event. it may well be better, to be honest, if you just make sure that you've covered everything in your oral submission today. But I can't see any issue.
Okay, it's fine. Yeah, we'll receive a copy happily then. Would you be kind enough to hand a copy to the ladies at the back just so they can see what's being...
Is there any objection on behalf of the residents to this being handed in at this late minute? Because obviously you've not had a chance to read it through or object to it, the contents of it.
I believe it's the same document that was put through our letterbox.
Okay, so
believe.
you've had a chance to see it and consider
I
it.
believe.
By all means, feel free to read it over the next few minutes. If there's anything you'd like to object to or
I don't know,
question,
Chair, whether you
please,
just want to adjourn for a few moments so everybody can read it, take the time to read it and see if there's any objection.
I mean, if anyone's got... I mean, are you happy to receive it, sir? You okay with receiving it? Yeah. Let's say, if at any point there's any members or anybody here that's not comfortable, just let me know and we can adjourn for 5 minutes just to make sure. But as I say, it seems okay. Have you got anything else to say, sir, or is that the end of your...
Yeah, I think that I'll submit, yeah.
You're done, yeah? Wonderful. Okay, thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.
So what we do now is we do the same as what we did with the licensing manager, so we can question you. Obviously, I do respect that the applicant himself isn't here, so if at any point there's any questions being asked that you can't answer, we may need to get him on the phone if that's okay. Same with the deputy. So members, first of all, any questions of the applicant at all? Councillor Brown?
Just one from me, if that's all right. Obviously, I respect that your colleague, the applicant, isn't here, but to the best of your knowledge, we heard from Mr. Stone that your intention for the restaurant is not to sell alcohol to people unless it is part of a meal or a takeaway order with a meal. Can we just get, in your own words, confirmation that that is the intention for the business model?
Yes, that's right, yes, yeah. Because any of our restaurants is going to be expensive than the corner shops. So I don't think so people will be coming in and we don't have any intention in selling it out. Great time.
And Councillor Swan?
Yeah, the information we have here states that Mr. Madan Lau has retail experience with petrol stations and superstores, but to this point he has no experience in the hospitality industry.
No, he's trying a new venture. Yeah, you're right.
Perfect. Any other questions, members, at all?
Not for me, no.
No. Do you are you aware if there's obviously you've got a lot of documents there? Are you aware if the applicant has got a noise management policy in place, i.e. how he's going to manage noise and how the residents can contact him should they have an issue or a complaint about noise? Is there a noise management policy at all?
Yeah, we are going to implement this one, polite notice, asking the customers to leave politely as possible. And we can even give our number, including Madanlal's number, where residents can contact him if in case of any issues, and we will manage it effectively.
That's fine. So one of my things a lot is when you've got a lot of when you're in a residential area especially, I think a noise management policy is really important because obviously, if you haven't got one in place or it works both ways basically. So noise management policy is a kind of a document that kind of puts out to the public what you're going to do and how you're going to manage your noise, especially late at night. And from a resident perspective, that noise management policy is accessible to them because as a licence holder, you are meant to provide a copy to them, and that will show them how to contact you if there is an issue with noise. And I think always it's a good thing to have because it means that the residents have the ability to contact the applicant directly or the licence holder directly in relation to any issues prior to contacting the licensing team. Because if you don't have one in place, what they'll do is if there's an issue from day one, they'll contact the licensing manager. And I think that a lot of the times the residents need to be able to contact the applicant if there is a problem. So would you have any objection to us, if we so choose, and I'm not saying this is what was going to happen, but would you have any objection to us adding a condition, should we grant the licence, of adding a noise management policy that's delivered to the residents?
I don't have one, but generally I'm thinking like we will have one in place because it's just going to have the contact details.
Perfect. That's basically what I want to know. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so that's all the members' questions. We may go back to members' questions should anything arise from the next steps. Now it's a chance of you, sir, to answer any questions of the applicant, and obviously he'll answer to the best of his ability. If you could ask through the chair, that would be amazing. Thank you.
No, I've got no further questions. I think you've asked one of the questions I was going to ask about noise management.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. So just to check, Derek, any questions? Are you all good?
No, well, just to say, members, that at the very end of the document you've been handed, where it says the agreed conditions, that is exactly the conditions we've had recorded from the police, just to clarify.
Oh, right, okay. Wonderful. So is there anybody around the table at all that's got any questions? And obviously, people in the gallery at the back, if you did want to ask any questions, I'm more than happy for you to, but obviously you'll need to come down to the... Absolutely, if you'd like to come down to the front and take a microphone, if you please introduce yourself first of all, and then basically ask the question, if that's okay.
Hello, my name's Kate. I'm a local resident. I just thought of one in the back, sorry. At the moment, it's my understanding that the main entrance and exit to the restaurant is on Burgoyne Road, but there are 2 doors on Clarence Road, which I think have been used as fire exits and an entrance exit to the staff premises. And I just wondered if that was planning on staying the same, where the delivery drivers would come to. Would they come to that door or the main door? Don't know if you know the answers to those.
It's going to remain as same, but yeah, the deliveries might happen on the other side when it's easier to park. Other than that, there is no intention of using it now.
My concern, I suppose, with that is along Clarence Road, it's all double yellow lines, so I don't know where the delivery drive... It might be a quieter road, but it's not a road where on one side of the road there's parking spaces, but on the remainder of the road it's double yellow lines. And from a personal point of view, I have children who are asleep in those bedrooms, so I feel it will be hugely disruptive if it's those doors that are used to provide the food to the delivery drivers when their bedrooms are facing on that road, particularly if the delivery transport is left with its engines running while they're sort of nipping out and in through those doors. So that's my personal concern with that. Like I say, it's not that it's a road where there aren't double yellow lines. On one side there's parking, which is normally full, and on the other side it is double yellow lines. So it looks quieter, but it's not legal parking.
No, it's going to stay as same as what has been operating. I don't know whether it's a double yellow, but there is no intention of using the other doors. It's going to be only a fire exit.
So just to clarify then, there won't be delivery drivers parking on Clarence Road and using that current fire exit door to bring delivery orders off the premises?
No, I don't think so. Because it's as you said, it's a double yellow. They cannot park it. I don't know because I'm not quite familiar with the roads.
Yeah.
So I think if it's a double yellow, they can't park.
I think it will be quite attractive to park there because it's quieter. But I'm just pointing out that it's not.
What I will say is that obviously, should we grant the application today, then needless to say, if any of the breaches of the licensing objectives are breached, as residents, you have the complete ability to write into the licensing team and express what conditions have been broken. You've got the prevention of crime and disorder, public safety, prevention of public nuisance and protection of children from harm. So if any of those are ever breached at any point, you have the right as residents to contact the licensing manager and call for a review of the licence based on any of those that are being breached. So that's all I'll say in relation to making you feel that the licence holder's got a duty to be responsible to those, okay?
Thank you. I was just sat at the back and I was thinking it was a great time to ask. So
no, it's always good to get everyone's opinions. You're more than welcome to stay sat there, or you can retire, obviously, to the galleries.
I'll be lazy. I'll sit here.
That's fine. Did you have a follow-up question at all, sir?
No follow-up questions, just my statement. I'll talk
Absolutely fine.
later.
Okay, cool. So just checking again, nobody round... Yes, Ben?
It seems like an opportune moment for me to just jump in and just give a bit of advice about highways issues generally. So far as parking is concerned and highways, unfortunately, unlike planning, licensing doesn't have any control over sort of parking issues or issues of that nature. We have heard concerns about nuisance arising from unloading deliveries. that is marginally sort of on the periphery of what you may or may not consider, only insofar as it relates to the licensable activity, which is the sale of alcohol. Obviously, deliveries of bottles and the like can be noisy, but you need to bear in mind that it needs to be directly related to the actual licensable activity rather than the operation of a food business, which otherwise may not be licensable unless it operates within certain hours or it starts to sell or serve alcohol. So just to give that legal advice, it's on the boundaries of, on the periphery of what you can or can't take into account. General parking issues, certainly not.
Yeah, so I think what the solicitor's trying to say there is there's different departments that deal with different things. You know, and if there's a highways issue, i.e. parking, you know, you would call them the highways, the parking team at the council. If there's a planning related issue, you would contact the planning team, and so on and so forth. So different departments, unfortunately, with all kind of corporations, you have a lot of different departments doing a lot of different things. But obviously, if there is a breach of the licensing conditions, the four ones that are stated, then that would be relevant to licensing. Councillor Brown.
Not a question for the applicant, actually a question for Derek. Do we know, I'm assuming there isn't, but can we just confirm whether or not there's an associated planning application associated to the premises? I'm assuming there's no change of use, there's no requirement for one.
No, I mean, that the restaurant has existed for 50 years.
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful members. We'll move on. Now we go on to the responsible authorities case, but my belief is that the responsible authorities have not made any declarations or objections today. No. Wonderful. Okay, so then we'll move on to what they class as the others persons, which is yourself, sir. You're more than welcome to do a deputation now. Obviously, you can read your speech, make any relevance, and then obviously, once again, we can ask you questions as well. Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. My name is Christopher Eldred and I live in, I am the owner of flat 327 South Parade, so we're adjacent to the facility. Just to, to emphasise, Restaurant 27 is located in a wholly residential area of flats and houses. It's a single retail outlet, not located in an area of multiple outlets. Therefore, it is different to many other areas. As you stated earlier, we have lived in harmony with a restaurant there for 50-odd years. But the restaurant that has been there until recently is a very different type of restaurant. It's an upmarket restaurant. It only opened in the evenings. It had 30-odd covers. So only so the number of covers, the number of people was very limited, and the duration of the opening of the restaurant was much more limited than is now being proposed. So we are dealing with something which is very different. Also, the previous owner set very high standards in terms of ensuring the behaviours and zero nuisance. And I think from myself and all the other residents can vouch for the fact we have never had any issues of whatsoever with the previous restaurant. But it's against those standards we look at this new venture. We believe it's a very different fast food operation, opening from 11 to 11, so basically a much longer opening hours, predominantly walking clientele, we are guessing. So there's going to be a lot more people because, and there's a lot more covers being proposed. The applicant has no previous experience of operating a restaurant, and whilst he's operated other licensable outlets, operating a restaurant is different. And with all those other interests he's got, how is he going to maintain high standard? Because he won't be there himself. He's going to rely upon other managers to ensure they meet the high standards, and that's something which is going to be a challenge for him. The owner proposed to cater for home delivery. All the adjoining roads are double yellow lines, or where there are parking zones, you can never get a parking area there. So how they're going to deal with home delivery, I have no idea, because they'll end up parking on double yellow lines. I cannot see any other way around it. Also, with the likely mixed clientele we're now moving to from the clientele that used to go to that restaurant, we can imagine there's going to be greater demands for loud music, particularly in the summertime, and are there going to be any constraints on music and the disturbance that can bring about to the local residents? We had that once before with a restaurant. I was opened up close to me when we lived in Marmion Road, and we left and sold up that property because of the noise, and it was because of parties that were held there, and also and the noise, and no control on the noise. And I'm not going to tolerate that happening again from a personal perspective. So what are the plans for the owner in terms of being a place for stag and hen do's and such, and other areas which are likely to generate a lot of noise? You know, is also the owner going to plan to put up advertising and fascias and signage and billboards on the pathways? Because again, the pathways are very narrow, and there's no room to put those, and they could impact on the safety. So overall, as we stated previously, we're not against the restaurant operating. It's been there in harmony for many years. But the business model that they're proposing at the moment does not fit into that location. And we have major concerns that, as with this very different type of restaurant, very different operating model, an inexperienced operator, is going to be difficult for them to manage and the impacts that will have on the local residents. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Aldred. Okay, no worries. I've got a few follow-up questions around the room, really, from what you've said. So I will start. Just a quick question for the applicant, if that's okay. Mr. Aldred stated that obviously the owner won't be there. What is his plans? Is he going to operate the business himself, or is he going to hire in teams?
He's going to be he'll be handling himself, but he'll be going to recruit a manager and the chef who is going to be having a lot of experience and knowledge in the industry. So it's very difficult for him to operate himself, but he's going to be there. He's going to be there every day.
Which is my
Sorry,
follow-up.
on my visit,
Yep.
the plan is for his wife to be the DPS. Is
Yeah,
that correct?
that's right, yeah.
If that helps.
It does help, because my next question is who's going to be the DPS, so that does answer that question. In relation to yellow lines, sir, obviously, as you're aware, we can't consider them necessarily as part of licensing objectives. So that thing, in relation to noise, I say we'll see what the decision is. A noise management policy, in my opinion, is a really good start. In relation to noise, once again, that can come under licensable activities under public nuisance. So that is something that we can consider for sure. And obviously, if there is extremely loud noise from the premises, obviously that would definitely be a reason for calling in a review. In relation to what you said about the fascias or advertising plaques on the street and so on and so forth, he would have to apply for a separate license, a street pavement license, if I'm correct, Rocky? Yeah.
Yep, that's correct, and we wouldn't approve it.
There you go, and they wouldn't approve it. There you go. So anything that goes onto the street basically would have to be a separate licensable activity, which will go through the licensing team. And you just heard from the manager there that they would not approve it. So there'll be no risk of anything being on that pavement or road in any capacity. Members, any other questions of? Yep, Councillor Brown.
Question for the applicant's representative. Obviously, we've heard concerns about noise generated by music. Do you know what sort of intention the applicant has in terms of, is it going to be background music that still allows conversation sort of level? Is it going to be a bit louder? What's the plan?
Definitely it's not going to be louder, because it's going to be very light background music, and it's all been insulated. So I think we are pretty much sure it won't cross 85 decibels. So we checked all the decibel levels, but it should be way less than that. I think cinemas play more than that. So it's going to be very light.
Yeah,
No karaoke or nothing.
And
like
I did
that.
notice on the plans, you've got plans for an airlocked front door, so
Yeah.
inside door closed.
Double door.
Yeah, double door on the
Yeah.
to help mitigate the noise.
Yeah.
And that was confirmed on my visit, if that helps.
Yeah, that's perfect. 'Cause that's actually going to be my next question. I missed that because that's obviously a good thing. Councillor Swan, any questions at all?
Yeah.
Yep, Councillor Swan.
So in the document you've handed out to us, you state taxi drivers are not going to wait there more than 2 to 3 minutes to pick up customers because they don't want to waste time, etc. Obviously, I know parking and traffic management doesn't really factor into what we're talking about here, but I'm wondering, is the owner going to put anything in place to communicate to delivery drivers, taxi drivers, etc.? Because obviously the conditions of 2 yellow lines are no waiting at any time. So I'm just wondering, is there going to be a concerted effort to respect the neighbours and the local area on that?
Yeah, definitely. I think we will have a word with Uber and Deliveroo. They will have a plan because they've been used to do in central London, which is much more busier and much more difficult to park. They will come up with a solution, probably a nearby place they will drop and then walk by to collect it and then pick the bike up. not on the same road possibly where the nearby public parking. That's what they used to do in London. So I think they will implement something like that.
Councillor Brown.
And given the proximity to South Parade, perhaps the restaurant might want to make arrangements with the customer, regular customers, or make some sort of advert that they request pick up from taxis from South Parade rather than from Burgoyne Road.
Yes, we will talk to them. Yeah, we'll check on that. Yeah.
As I say, I think if you're granted the licence today, then I think, the general consensus is that you need to obviously keep an eye on these delivery drivers and just make sure you work with your delivery partners, be proactive, work really well with the residents. There's clearly going to be an importance of a relationship between the licence holder and the residents, and it's your job as well as the residents to make sure that communication stays good and doesn't break down. Now you're sat around the table, you're more than welcome to do a deputation as well if you would like to. By all means, you don't have to, but if you'd like to, you're more than welcome.
I mean, I suppose from my point of view, sorry, I wasn't planning on speaking.
That's okay.
It was just to say that we've lived in our house for about 6 years, very happily, alongside Restaurant 27. And I understand that it's a business premises, and I wish your friend and the applicant the best of luck and quite happy to support him with it. But it has to be something which sits alongside the local residents and doesn't cause us any sort of unnecessary anxieties, I suppose. I'm really happy that he reduced the opening hours to 11. I think it would have been dreadful if it had been 1 o'clock. But the food delivery side of the business is something which is quite new to the residents, and I appreciate all the things that you suggested about things that you can put in place to sort of help that. So I think if he could consider those, I certainly would be very grateful about that. And I suppose talking about going back to my double locking front door, if that is a sort of double layer, if that makes sense, I suppose that confirms that the fire exit door will not be used for sort of entry and exit. No. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Wonderful.
Every neighbor is a customer, so we don't want to lose anyone. I don't think so. People will be traveling far away from a place to have a dinner or a lunch. It'll be mostly local community.
Local residents.
So we won't upset any of them. There's no logic in it.
And I think it's nice to have a business. It's just got to have one that sort of sits alongside. And we have been very spoilt with the previous owner in the fact that he was always on site, very amenable and very proactive at sort of keeping his customers happy and also keeping residents happy as well.
Wonderful. Okay. Anybody else got any questions at all of the other persons? Are we all good? Wonderful. Okay, so before we go to summing up, which means that everyone gets to conclude their final points, I just always like, just for safety reasons, I always just like to make sure that everybody in the room is happy. They've asked the questions they've wanted to ask, and no one's got anything further to say at all. So is everybody happy that they've asked what they need to ask? Yeah, wonderful. So now we'll go to summing up, which means we go around the room and everybody just gets to say their final words before we adjourn and go into our decision process. So first of all, in the summing up, we go to the other person. So if you would like to, Mr. Eldred, say anything, any final words, you don't have to. If you'd like to say any final words, you're more than welcome to.
No, I think the points we've made have been, well said, and I think you've recognised our genuine concerns as local residents. We've lived in harmony with a previous owner, and we want to continue to do that way. Now, we've also heard some commitments today regarding our concerns around parking, noise, music, etc. I don't know how those get written into any conditions, so that's beyond me. But obviously, once that's in place, and we will hold the owner to those standards. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So we've got no responsible authorities. They will not be doing the summing up. We'll now go to the applicant. If you'd like to say any final words, sir, you're more than welcome to.
Yeah, once again, sorry Madanlal couldn't make it, but we will make sure we'll abide by all the, customers, because all our neighbors are customers, so we're not going to upset them. So we'll make sure that's being done.
Thank you, sir. And Mr. Stone, have you got any final words you'd like to add at all?
No, thank you.
And just check with the members, any final things? No? Yeah, 1 second, guys. Okay, so one of the members has just brought a question to me, and the reason he's brought it to me is because I own a few restaurants myself. So he's just asking me a question of whether something's normal or not. But I think it would be healthy if Councillor Swan asks the question to the applicant, and then obviously we can get advice from Mr. Stone on the follow-up. So if you'd like to ask the question.
Thank you, Chair. It's just about the section on the document you provided that states why you need off licence. I'm just a bit concerned about customers being able to take open bottles of alcohol away with them. I don't have any experience in the hospitality industry, so I don't know whether that's a standard thing or not, but my concern would be over antisocial behaviour. Obviously, if you buy a bottle of wine or something, you're unlikely to kind of take the cork out and drink it on the way home. However, if you're in possession of an open bottle of something, then that would be an increased possibility of that sort of behaviour. So I'm just wondering whether there could be some clarity on whether that is fairly standard or whether that's more unusual.
It is fairly standard. A lot of there's not only restaurants now. A lot of public houses would do it. Green King certainly, they're a big chain. If you go in there and you buy a bottle of wine, you don't take it, don't drink it all. Customers will take it home. Yeah, absolutely. And you know, generally speaking, the drinks are expensive these days. People aren't going to go and waste them by smashing the bottles and disposing of it recklessly, if that helps.
Thank you.
I think so. What would be good to pass on to the licence holder there is obviously just to make sure, and I'm sure he will, or the DPS will, that obviously if people are too intoxicated or there seems to be an issue, just manage that policy carefully, because obviously that could definitely be something that pulls you back for review. If there were customers taking wine out and smashing the bottles, that would definitely be something that that would cause reviews. Just be sensible, I guess, is the best policy with that. Yeah. Any further questions from anybody in the room? Wonderful. So I'll now pass on to the City Solicitor, who will wrap up the meeting and let you know what the next steps are.
Thank you for the promotion. I'll start
Licensing solicitor.
I'll start drawing my salary as of now. Yeah, so that's the end of the formal part of the process. The subcommittee will effectively retire, but in actual fact ask all the other parties to leave the room whilst they deliberate and make their decision. They'll announce their decision today and give their reasons for the decision. And it will be also given in full in writing to everybody that's made a written representation as well. So there's no need to sort of hastily scribble anything down whilst it's being read out. So that's the procedure. I would also stress, if whilst they are adjourning to make their decision, if you do happen to bump into any of the members whilst they're going to the toilet or getting a sandwich or something, please don't try to speak to them. They can't speak to you in that interim period. It causes all kinds of issues if there's any kind of discussion during that sort of interim time. Thank you.
How long, Ken?
I would say a minimum of 30 minutes.
Yeah, I think 30.
That way everybody can go away.
I know how long it takes you to write things up, Ben. Should we say an hour?
30 minutes.
45 minutes I think is probably sensible.
Okay, so what we'll do is, what we'll say is that we'll return about 20 past 11. So that means that it could be after 20 past 11, but it won't be a minute before 20 past 11. Okay, so it could go on to half 11, for example, but it won't be a minute before. So even if we come to a decision, it's all written up before 20 past, we will not start before 20 past. Okay. So I now call adjournment to this meeting. Say if everyone could leave the room, and then we'll see you back shortly. Thank you very much.